Did for 50 years.
Yes.
It's supposed to be big.
Quick.
But I'm a
Quick.
doctor. I can tell you,
Candy?
my heart was.
He's got a bigger bucket.
Like sunflower seeds.
He won't have any pizza, but boy, will he take on it. I've seen him with his little nut bars.
The story's great. Just terrible, actually.
That's why we all got 7 and you got like
Was that the gavel?
40.
Yeah.
You have
Are we
to
ready
really
here?
do it like you mean it.
You need to pick one of the microphones, sir.
I'll borrow the vice chairs here today. I'd like to call to order the Downtown Development Authority Board meeting Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? We need a roll call first,
Roll
don't
call
we?
first.
Sorry.
That's
See,
okay.
I told you I needed this other information on here. It's like,
Sorry, next time.
roll call, please.
Alan Costello,
Here.
Jill Gagliardi,
Here.
Anthony Barber,
Here.
Brian Rosen,
Here.
Jim Knight,
Here.
Alan Halliburton,
Here.
Cole Davids.
Here.
Now we'll try it again.
Yes.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None at this time.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the workshop items, correct?
No, just do we need an approval or no? No. Okay, great. I'm going to go up to the podium. So for today's, just to kind of tee up today's conversation, this is a workshop. While it's in our, the chamber setting, we really want to make sure we've got all the team here that is part of the Downtown Development Authority and the Old School Square team. So I really want it to be more of a, if there's any questions, comments that they have, I want them to be able to open up and have a conversation as well as part of the topic. So I just wanted to let you all know that. So, but the first item I wanted to bring to your attention, we put on the agenda because we have been working on this with the city and Maruska, Victoria, and myself working with the city staff on the part of the campus that is currently under the interlocal agreement of the storage facility as part of the amphitheater pavilion area. So this storage facility is truly that. It is a storage area that is large in capacity and has worked since the place was built to be the storage, maintenance, workroom, equipment for the entire campus at Old School Square. So it housed the fence, the chairs, 1,000 chairs, the chain link fence. It was a repair facility, really worked to really main operation for the Old School Square campus. The museum doesn't currently have any storage area, so that area also houses a closet or a storage area for the Fine Art Museum artwork. Or anything that is needed to be stored in that facility, whether temporary or long-term. So it's separate and locked. But the main work area was to house, any furniture for the vintage gym, the Crest building, as well as the amphitheater itself. So just want to kind of walk you through, because today we're going to talk about the ILA, and this is really, the ILA is before you to be changed based on the request to turn the facility into a ceramic studio, as well as to house a refrigerator and a storage area for the Crest Building's kitchen area. So with that, this is a picture of the storage area, and as it is now, it's a full room. It's housing signage. There is a roll-up door that goes up into the amphitheater, so that is kind of the backstage into the actual staging area. So that is just a view of that right now. Kind of walking through the timeline, because currently, as you all know and probably have seen, that there is the request to turn this in partially into a ceramic studio open to the public for classes. We did not hear about this until July, kind of halfway, really kind of backwards in a way, of our team being on site, hearing at it from the city staff on site, And then as we proceeded through this discussion, there was a lot of discussion back and forth with the assistant city manager, the city manager, on really what this facility is meant to be. It was built this way. It's meant for the use of the entire campus. So as we manage the majority of the campus, it's really, from our purview, that this storage area needs to remain that way. And we've been talking through this process all along the way. And I, really strongly believe that it should remain a storage area for the intent of the campus to run functionally as a whole. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be a shared space, and it really needs to remain in that intact. So we went in there, and a line was drawn where this wall would be. You have in front of you a map of what was presented, is what the layout would be. Providing some space for the DDA to have, as a storage space, the art collectively. However, it's not enough, for us to get pallets and pallet jacks in there, make turns, rolling in equipment. It's not enough space to be adequately performing the essential work that we need to do there. Now, today, this wall is now up, and it's still not enough. So I think we wanted just to share this with you. Again, it's a temporary wall. The other side of the side, we're looking at it from our side. The other side is where the ceramic studio will be. And ceramic public classes, again, will be in this space. So I wanted to visually put this out there to you all. You have the interlocal agreements back in your backup that has been provided. Also a draft of a change in the interlocal agreement that would now, because we do have to change the interlocal agreement because this does change the liability and the use of the space. So this was where this is your discussion. It's up for the board. As in Al's role as chair prior to last month, he had been really involved in this conversation a lot with Quentin and I and Mariska, and really wanted to turn it, to Al to maybe chime in on this discussion, and really why we're here today. It's about the board's decision and how we move forward with this in the direction to the city. So, Al?
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm going to get comfortable in my chair and lean back. I didn't realize Laura was going to give you a little demonstration. I thought I was going to speak from the very beginning. So I wrote a few words, about 5 or 10 minutes, and I appreciate if you all listen, and I can get most of what I want out of this. And really the most difficult part is, as Laura said, as the chair, I met with Laura and Quentin quite a bit about this. I also met with the city manager. I met with the city attorney. I expressed everything we said, and I wrote this letter that everyone has as the top of your packet. It's the very first page. I wrote a letter on September 8th when I was here at our last meeting. I walked out of the room and I wrote it because I was very upset when I found out that our ILA was being rewritten. And then when I found out that Jim might be having his surgery, I was concerned that he wouldn't be here today, and I wanted him here today. So I wrote this second letter, which is on top, the September 8th letter, in which I spoke of my concern about basically the two parts to this. One, which is our ILA and the ceramic slab in the storage facility, and the other is our relationship with the city. So then this morning I tried to put my words together. I've got reams of information that I'm not going to speak about, but I wanted to make sure I got everything. So I've written this and I've rewritten this a bunch, and I'm sorry. I hope you've all seen that letter. My relationship with the DDA is quite different than most of yours. I had issue with the city when they were doing events on the streets and they were bringing in food trucks to compete with brick and mortar restaurants in our downtown. I brought this to the DDA on a recommendation from a friend, and I met Laura. This was back in 2014. At the time, I voiced my concerns to her, and Laura, through the DDA, took me to meet with the mayor at the time. And there I voiced my concerns with the mayor. The mayor put together a group of city alphabet agencies and staff members to help deal with my complaint, and it was amazing, and I won't bore you with all the results. When the Delray affair was incorrectly positioning their booths down the street on my 400 block of Atlantic Avenue. The booths were on the side, and all the people walked through the middle, and nobody went to the stores on our street. I complained for years, and the affair would do nothing. The promoter would do nothing. I went to the DDA. Laura brought me in front of the city manager at that time, and the city manager at the time, Mr. Cooper, made a decision that the 14-foot requirement for the city fire engines could be cut down to 12 feet so that the booths could be put in the center. Business flourished for everybody on the street, and it was all because of the DDA. So, when I had the opportunity for me to serve on the DDA board in 2015, I took it. I volunteered. I spent 7 years on the DDA board. I was reelected twice. I'm the reason, fortunate or not, probably that we have the Old School Square campus right now. Simply speaking, I fought first with the city to give us permission, and then with Laura to accept the responsibility to operate the Old School Square campus, for which she was very slow to, well, she was concerned. It was a lot of work. Little did you know how much work it really was. Anyway, when it was all done, I was quite unhappy with the manner in which the city was building the ILA. I was concerned that we would end up in a situation exactly like the one we're in now. And so I left the board because I disagreed with the process. I thought it was better for them to have a member that supported their methods. I had concerns about the business operations of the Old School Square too, and I wanted very much for a business plan to be created that would be great. And lo and behold, I'm looking at a business plan here that Laura wrote 2 years ago and for last year. It's amazing. And I think we all know that we get international acclaim from the IDA and other organizations because of the way these guys put together the operations. The plan is amazing, and Laura and the team are excellent, and they've stepped up over and above, and I'm so proud of them, and I hope we all are as well. But back to my time on the board. At the first year operational review, the one problem our board had at the time was that the previous executive director had become so political that she burned many bridges within the city DDA relationship that major surgery was really required. Our board, after the evaluations, asked Laura to take as much time as possible to recreate and rebuild the relationships with the city so collaboration would be a non-issue. And over a few years, Laura rebuilt the old connections and added a great new connections. Before I left from the board, Laura had improved relationships so much that she was in the weekly staff meetings at City Hall with all the main players and all the city manager staff. It was as if Laura had a second home at City Hall. The City Hall staff worked well with us, and vice versa. It was the way it should be. Which brings me to the main point. Our charter describes a relationship between the DDA and the city regarding the economic vitality of the downtown business community, and it describes the need for collaboration to address the vital needs of the downtown as a closely operating unit. Our charter is read into the city charter, and the city and the DDA are required to work together to make the downtown economic environment strong. Without the city collaborating with us together, and without the team instructed and eager to make the relationship work, both teams that is, using the DDA to its benefit, our mission will suffer. So my letter of the 22nd you've all read, I hope, and it describes the DDA relationship specifically regarding the ILA and how it's being utilized and how our protections are being ignored and how the city relationship has deteriorated and how the city attorney and our attorney are moving forward to destroy what little cohesiveness existed in our relationship. My letter of September 22nd describes my concerns, and this letter of Laura's, which is not in your packet, unfortunately, is her letter of July 17th to the city manager. And although it's too large for me to read, it basically...
We got it in the email.
I'm sorry?
I think we all received
No, this
that.
one's not in the email.
Oh, it's not okay.
There are many important, this one's similar to the one she's attached here that we all have. Her letter of
There's a few
August
of them.
17th, I
They all
think
say
it
the
is.
same thing.
What?
They all pretty much say the same
Yeah,
thing.
they all pretty much say the same thing, which is that
That
Laura
are
is
consistent
against, and the DDA is against the usurpation of our field house by the city, period. The city said they're going to do it after they already made plans without our knowledge, and we refused it. They insisted, and we refused it. That was in Laura's letter. In detail, Laura describes the needs, the use, and it's the fact that it's in our Second Amendment to begin with. Okay. Okay, so what we're talking about specifically in this case is very demonstrative of the deteriorating relationship between the city and the DDA. It focuses on the ILA's Second Amendment rights, allowing the DDA to use the Old School Square campus. It's a good example of how the relationship with the city is in disrepair. The Second Amendment, which is somehow right here. Okay, the Second Amendment, which was approved on the 17th of October and signed by Brian, describes how the Crest Theater was given up by the DDA, and we just kept the remaining Old School Square campus. I don't want to bore you with all of it, but just this simple piece in clause number 2, paragraph number 2, after it describes in clear detail, plus there's, of course, aerial photographs and pictures in the back, what it describes in clear detail is what our rights are in terms of the parts of the Old School Square campus that we get, which includes the storage facility. And it says, and all easements, rights of way, and other appurtenances used in connection with beneficial use and enjoyment of the property. Beneficial use and enjoyment of the property, right? The licensed area, and that, in layman's terms, is our rights to that property, not the city's, and the city can't disturb them. Okay. However, a few months ago, the city received a request from their art school coordinator that she would like to usurp some of the property that is rightfully ours, according to the amendment, for use as a ceramic slab. The DDA was informed after the fact that the city intended to move forward. We objected to this use. Laura and I met both with the city manager together and alone. We talked, we tried our best, and the city manager finally said, we'll wait for a ruling from the city attorney as to whether we had rights to the property, and then he would make a decision. Meanwhile, we discussed this with our attorney, Quentin. He agreed that our Second Amendment clearly gives us the rights to this piece of the property, including aerial photographs. Sounds like Alice's Restaurant, with pictures and photographs describing the place, and that we have the rights to it, and that was in our Second Amendment. However, the city attorney decided that because there was an old refrigerator no longer being used. Is it operational, Laura? No. Okay, no longer operational.
No.
Not in the Crest building, but in this building, which is our use, but once used by the Crest, that the previous use of that refrigerator gave the city the right to come in and usurp our property, even though I believe it was enjoyment was the word, our enjoyment, not the city's. So even though the refrigerator was in another building, not part of the Crest, and even though we have the rights to that space, the city attorney made a ruling that the city can just take the space from us. I asked our attorney to stop this and give them a cease and desist letter based on the fact that he agreed that we had the rights and the city did not. He also agreed that most likely the decision of the city attorney would not hold up. He described that because there's an ILA in place, that we don't do a cease and, he described that because there's an ILA in place, we don't do a cease and desist, but we do an item 164. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
It's not what it's called.
Okay, well then, okay. I couldn't remember what it was called. But because there was the ILA, that there was a procedure that had to be done, but this procedure would notify the city that we would intend probably to sue if they didn't stop the usurpation of our property. I met with Laura and the city attorney. I told Clinton that I would like to immediately file and stop this, and this was back in June, and he said no, advising us to be cautious, and he said he would talk to the city attorney. A lot of back and forth has gone along here since this started. It's been months. There's been multiple letters from Laura, as you now know. There's been multiple letters from me. There's been multiple meetings, and yet the city has surged forward to make their grip on the property irreversible, building, etc. And further, our attorney, as proof that he's going over to the dark side, sorry, Quinn, has given us the attached proposed change to the ILA, that's Amendment 4, showing, in my opinion, that he's either the worst attorney in the world or just afraid of his own shadow. I've been involved in a lot of contracts, and I've seen a lot of strange things, but I've never seen an agreement like Amendment 4, which is in your packets and which is proposed today. Please do not sign this agreement. Please do not agree to this agreement.
Let's back up. First of all,
I'm almost done, but I'd like to finish, if it's all right with you.
please wrap it up.
Well, I will. Okay. You've all seen recitals and agreements. That's the part where it says, whereas, and then now, therefore. But you've never seen them like this. In all the agreements I've seen, the parties involved in the recitals describe the basics of the relationship and the reasons why they're moving forward. This is the first agreement I've ever seen where in the recitals, one of the parties tells the reasons why they don't want to enter into the agreement. They clearly state why, again, it would be stupid for us to enter into this agreement. They're right in the recitals, and I can read them for you if you want. Then the city rubs our noses in the fact that it says we're going to do it anyway in the recitals. That's before the rest. What's more, why would there even be a need for the agreement if the city has the rights to this property? If we didn't have the rights, we wouldn't need a new ILA. Then we wouldn't have the rights. So I don't think the city believes we do. All right, so I'm going to skip all the rest of this, okay? And that was the ILA and the reasons for that. Now the other part is the relationship with the DDA.
Can we, because that's part of this whole conversation. First, I
That's
know
fine, but unfortunately, it's
It all works together.
It's the
I
relationship
understand.
that's the reason we're here.
I understand,
But yeah, okay.
just the way we've, I
Thank you for letting me speak.
think for the purpose of this discussion today, and the reason this is on here is because we need a board consensus of how to move forward with this. So,
I'd like to have Quentin respond first, if you don't mind, Brian, and then.
Sure.
And a little more respect for people and everything
I
else
like
out.
that. I really do.
Just in general, because this is, under my chairmanship,
Yes.
it's going to be different. We're going to be cordial to one another up here. We're going to pay attention, focus, and we're really going to try to work through issues. I'm all about solutions. There's plenty of problems out there, but I'm solution driven, and I want to see this board run the same way, solution driven. With that, please go ahead, Quentin.
Thank you. So I'll be brief. So before Laura or I can direct the agency, we need board's approval on a vote in a meeting in the public so that the decision can be made by you all. So I can't unilaterally, nor can Laura unilaterally create action on behalf of the DDA. Go ahead.
The action you're referring to is suing the city, right? Based on the agreement, that would be the action?
Definitely that.
But is that what he was saying? Because he said
I think it was about filing the
First
cease.
notifying
It's
the
about
city
filing
that-
the cease and desist.
That's
Well,
right.
that everything leading up to that needs you all's consent and approval.
I just understand.
But absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense.
And what he was referring to, when you have two government agencies that have a dispute, there's a statutory process that requires them to do certain things in order to resolve the suit before going to court to file, to resolve it by a judge. So that's the Chapter 164 that lays out the process for two governments to come together in order to resolve a dispute. So that would also have to be done through the board's action. So the discussions, we're trying to explain that process. I think Al mostly got everything I was trying to convey correct. But I like Al too. We kind of fight like with each other from time to time. So I don't perceive it as disrespect.
family.
Yeah, we're So I don't have a issue with any of it, but I hope I don't want to keep talking about this right now. I want to let you guys
bring
talk.
it up to the board here if
Yeah.
I can. Brian, go ahead.
I'll jump on a few things, if I may. time. I don't need all the mics now. Please, guys, easy.
don't drop it.
Again, it's just a few things. And again, we're here to discuss the interlocal agreement.
Oh, before you
right.
finish, the draft that's in the backup is just a draft. Before that gets considered to be forwarded, obviously they can see it now, a copy of it, because it's in the public. But before it gets discussed with the city, you guys can decide that we don't need to do this. You guys can decide what direction you want to go, which is what
Right.
Laura's asking for, what direction you want to go. There's options that you all have. One of them is what Al's presenting. One of them is this draft, and there may be other options that you all may want to consider. So it's really about what you all want to do as a board, and the consensus to give Laura and the DDA staff direction on how to move forward. And you know, Maruska's sitting up here, who's the primary person, you know, with some of these things that are happening, that we need to make sure she's taken care of in the sense that we're recognizing the issues she's going through. So everybody, I think, is heart's in the right place on trying to make sure that this space is being utilized to the best of its ability, consistent with historical practices, and for the benefit of Maruska and the rest of the Old School Squares operation. So how to get there is for you all to decide, and with the guidance from Laura and the team who are on the campus on a daily basis to get there. And we obviously have to work with the city on this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brian.
A few things I just want to point out after Big Al's speech. You know, one, you know, he says it's our field house. Our team, we have the best team. I believe this DDA team is awesome. I can't believe all the work we do at Old School Square every day, every night, doing things in the streets, art jazz, other things that the DDA does. It's a lot. And it feels like it's our field house because we're in charge of operating and managing it, but we just have to remember these assets belong to the city. We're operating and managing the assets for the city. I think that this area is quintessential to operating the pavilion and having a place where, again, having owned and operated restaurants and bars before, working in commercial real estate, when you have an operation like this, you need a place, especially in Florida where it rains and it's so hot, where you can do repairs and fix things and work on stuff, and things come and go, and it's tied to the stage for a reason. So I think it's really important space for the operation in general of this facility. The biggest issue is, even though we're in charge of the operation of the facility, and I think we've made it very clear that that's going to negatively impact that operation of the whole campus moving forward. I think we've done a good job of that as a board, as a staff, and our director, but it's not our building. And I can't, you know, I could tell them that it doesn't work well for us and that it's going to cause problems in the future, but if they want to make an amendment to the ILA, which is, you know, the agreement, the management agreement that we have to have with our partners whose property it is to, like, take over part of that, I can't fight it per se. I would say, hey guys, we're really not in favor of that. I don't think it's the best idea, but I'm not interested in having a battle with the city over it based on an ILA agreement like that. I don't think that's a really good way to go in general. And I don't think our attorney's destroying anything as far as the DDA and the city go. I know he has a decent rapport with Lynn. They talk, and, you know, he keeps us abreast of things in general, I believe. And, you know, so whatever you were saying about him being on the dark side, I didn't quite understand or think was appropriate. And, you know, basically, you know, it would have to come to an amendment in the ILA because it is clear that this space is part of what we're managing and operating, in my opinion. Not a lawyer. You talk to the lawyers, but, you know, so there would have to be a change in the ILA if they want to take part of this back. And in general, just saying, if they needed some room for their pantry, because they don't have a pantry for their kitchen or refrigerator, you have a restaurant. If you had a big kitchen with no pantry or refrigerator, you're not going to say, and the landlord happens to have the refrigerator and kitchen, you're not going to say, no, you can't keep a refrigerator and some supplies in the area that's meant for storage and supplies for this campus. So, you know, I think it's got to be a working relationship. I think that space has a real use. No, I don't want to split it up, but no, if it's based on an ILA agreement and a situation between two of these types of entities, that escalates to an area that we're in some sort of fight with the city over this space, you know, I myself, can't speak for everyone on the board, would not be interested in moving in that direction.
May I just respond? Just
Let's
for a
let's
minute?
get everybody through, and then
I'd
we'll.
just like to
then-
respond to that.
No,
we'll
let's
get
let
back.
everyone,
We'll get
'cause you
back.
just talked
I'd like
for
to
20
have
minutes.
everybody speak, and then Jewel, please.
Okay, so I just have a few things. So, one, I also think that it's almost silly to me to for these conversations to get to a point where it would even be a war, or it would be a lawsuit, or it would be any of those things. I absolutely think that we should be working together to find solutions together. Couple of points that I want to bring up is there are classrooms that are at Old School Square. So one of the questions that I have is why wouldn't it be that this ceramics class or this pottery class would take place in the designated area of the classrooms? I would imagine that there are not 24 hours of classes going on that are occupying these classrooms. So is there a reason that class isn't taking place there?
I believe due to the industrial work of it, as well as the kiln, needing an actual kiln to be installed in like a
Right.
more cement area. So that was what was communicated to us, that this was a perfect place for it. So,
Okay. The next point is, I think like right now, not all of Old School Square is operational, right? But I think our collective goal, the city's goal, the DDA goal, our goal is to get it that way eventually, to make it so that this whole big, beautiful, amazing gem in our town is functional and that it's thriving in every possible way. And if that were the case, which is what we're all working toward, we would absolutely need probably that space in order to facilitate all of the different things that would be going on, whether it's costumes, equipment for bands, paintings, all kinds of things that would be moving around that are quite big. I understand you had an artist dropping off stuff in the rain and a police officer stopped you and actually wanted to kind of give a hard time. And it was like, well, what do we do? Let this artwork that is super expensive just get destroyed because of inconvenience of trying to just drop it off. You know, things like that are crazy. We should be a team together. And the other thing is, if we didn't have this space, and by the way, Brian, I agree with you. I agree with a million points that you made, Alan. I also agree with a million points that you made. One of which is, I'm not interested in having a big war or suing anybody. I think we should just be able to talk this through because the reality is it does belong to them, but we are managing it. And I think if we want to manage it successfully, which is, I think, the whole goal, is we kind of need these spaces to, you know, historically that's what it's allocated for, and it's probably designed that way for a reason, because when you're running the whole campus, the campus needs that kind of space in order to be able to do these things. If we didn't have that space, right, and we had to compartmentalize where we were going to be putting all of these things, now are we like getting into a numbers game, right? So we're the city's getting money for whoever is signing up for the classes, however much money that would generate, right? If it's 4 to 10 people per class and however much money they charge for that, versus now, if we have to run all over the city to different areas and find transportation to get big things like paintings or big things like drum sets or whatever it is, amplifiers, or anything that we would need to shift and move around this whole city, we're now adding hours to teamwork, we're adding vehicles, we're adding all kinds of logistical stuff that now adds cost to the DDA just doing something that the DDA would normally be able to do very easily and very quickly. So to me, it just seems like it's worth the conversation for us to keep thrashing through this until we come up with a logical solution that makes both sides happy.
Thank you.
Anthony? And I do want to hear from Mariska and Jeff, if you can stick around. Love to hear some feedback from you as well, if you don't mind.
I'm just developing questions.
Okay. Aaron?
I don't want this taken the wrong way, but I do agree with Brian. I do agree a little bit with Al, what he's saying, what she said, but this goes back to we should have never tried to remove the mayor off the board. That's all I got to say.
Just personally speaking, I think any sort of lawsuit is a big waste of time, energy, and money. And I don't think it's a fight worth fighting for with the city on this. However, I do feel like there can be a middle ground to be made on this. This design, is that what they're actually doing? Because it doesn't seem very efficiently set up. So I feel like there's got to be some sort of middle ground. But again, I want to hear what Jeff has to say and then kind of circle back on this.
Well, that's 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. But it's inside.
Anthony, are you ready, Anthony, or you need another minute?
I want to make sure I understand it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The logic here is that whoever, I won't say the city, but someone believes it's more cost effective to get rid of the storage and build another classroom there, as opposed to essentially like pulling a circuit so that a kiln could operate in another space. Is that kind of what I'm getting? Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's like really dumbing it down. Like,
Well, no, I think there's special requirements for the kiln itself, and I don't know if Mariska can answer that
Is
question.
it weight
but
too?
It's
Being on like a second story?
yeah.
It's not, I'm sorry, it's not so much the weight, but there's requirements because they heat up to, 2,400 degrees. So there's always a concern of fire. And you're talking about a historic building. The Crest Theater is a historic building. So I can understand why they would not want to put a kiln in that space. It's a lot of wood in those buildings, and there's concern for that. So normally a kiln is in a space that is concrete block, or there's got to be venting for it. There's all these requirements for a kiln, and it would be hard to do in a historic building. So I can understand why they're thinking of using this space instead.
Mariska, can you touch a little bit on the operation and so forth? I did go over and look at the wall where it was put up and so forth, and I think there are some things that hopefully can be worked out, but can you, or whoever it is, going to help me out with the operation and what exactly we would ask of the city in order to try to work through this?
Do you mean, what is it used for? Or
No.
As we move
How do we
forward,
come up with a solution? That's all I'm looking. That's what I'm out here for, is looking for a solution for you to still be able to run what you're doing, for us to still be able to have the events. Maybe there's a more efficient way for the layout here, things like that, so forth. It is a temporary wall right now. I know if they were going to go up full height with a wall, it'd have to be a firewall, I believe. Then you'd have air conditioning that would have to be dealt with, which is just one trunk line running, if I recall, on the northern portion of the building there that blows the air into the whole area and so forth. So right now, it doesn't, when I walk through it just yesterday, I want to say, it doesn't appear that you're going to be able to get the things in and out and do what you need to do. And hopefully there's a solution here that can be had with the city and the DDA and so forth. So is it moving that wall over a few more feet, 5 feet, 10 feet? What is it? And then hopefully we can hear from Jeff and hear what it is that they need for their facility to be operational. I mean, we want a huge success for everybody at the old school square. We don't want problems for anybody.
I can tell you what I'm facing and what's happening for me.
Please do.
The museum itself, when it was renovated back in the day and reopened in 1995 as a museum, was a school, had no closets, very minimal closets. There is no storage space in the museum. We barely have enough room off of one of the galleries for an office, which, in that office we have a refrigerator and we have a microwave, and it's also that kind of a kitchen area in addition to my office and assistants' offices. So there's not a lot of room for chairs, tables, anything like that. In addition, so that's the problem for the museum. So what they did back in 2017, when we had a major renovation of the museum, they took a space from that storage area and created a room that was to house the permanent collection of the museum. Because at that time, the permanent collection was in this closet, backstage, in the gym, it was all over. So it was a way to bring it all together, document it, make sure that we had proper documentation, proper air conditioning, humidity levels, all of that. And that room was supposed to be just storage for the museum. So when we took over the space, it was really full of junk that had been left from the old organization. So we cleaned it out the best we could, but all of those things, we couldn't throw them away. We don't know who they belonged to or what they were, moved them into the space, but we also have all of our A-frames are stored in there. We have walls, temporary walls in that big storage area that we use for art on the square. In the past, that held 50 round tables, folding tables. It held over 500 folding chairs. It held a whole workshop area where they would do work. The cooler that's there now is not operational, has not been since the old organization took the door off the cooler. It was already in bad disrepair when it was donated to the museum and needed, an act of Congress to get it up and running. They finally did get it running and used it mostly for drinks, beer, things like that. Lagunitas had been a sponsor and donated quite a bit of beer, so they needed a place to put the beer. Since we've taken it over, that space has been just storage. It's not used as a refrigerator or a commissary or anything like that. Has not been. So this is since '22. In addition, what I need is now when I'm receiving art, it's coming in crates sometimes. It's in large boxes. It's difficult for me to even get the boxes from a delivery truck to the storage area. I had a situation where I was receiving 2 crates of art last week. Was going to be difficult to even get the truck in behind the amphitheater and then bring it on a pallet jack all the way around the amphitheater to get it through the door that we've been allocated now, this one door. Open those double doors, you can't get a pallet jack in there with the pallet to bring it into our museum room to store items. So we are being really handicapped by that. In addition, we have to store these pallets and store the boxes for the duration of the exhibition and then put all the art back in and get them out again. So it was easier when we had a larger room that we could work with. But right now, with the situation and the entire Old School Square space as it is, we don't even know what we need to store in the future once Old School Square is rebuilt to full capacity. Right now it's not. There are pieces missing. There are tables missing, chairs missing. We don't have these items that we need to store, but we're going to get to the point where we're going to need to store them, and if we've taken over all of this space for different purposes, we're not going to have this space to use.
Right. And that's
Actually, if
been,
you don't
and
mind,
that-
Aaron, I'd like to hear from Jeff if I could, and then I'd also, when I walked in there yesterday, I noticed there's quite a bit of height there. Is there any way to utilize some ability to stack the stuff up and things like that, whether it's the chairs, things like that, et cetera, to try to create, I understand the pallet's gotta move, and there's no way you're moving a pallet in there on any type of dolly.
Right.
So,
So, do you mind if I say
Yeah,
something
please, go
also,
ahead.
this
too?
is Victoria.
Yeah,
So
so
she's-
I'm the operational girl, so I'm moving tables and chairs. So what happens also too in the vintage gym, when we do have an event, and it's a big event and the caterer needs the kitchen, they don't want to use the tables. There's 10 round tables. There's 109 chairs there that are stacked. We have to move them over to this area. If Mariska has pallets in there, it's impossible for us to store it, and we definitely don't want to keep anything outside. And it's hard for us to get in there to turn these big tables around and get them out of there once we pull them in. And basically, I just want to, just kind of repeat what we've been talking about. But again, it being a fire hazard, fire suppression, ventilation, toxic odors, temporary wall safety, also to fire exits. A situation like that needs a secondary exit on both sides, because what if a fire starts? Where is the secondary exit? So thank you.
if you don't mind, I want to wait, Jeff, you, and then we come back, so.
Sure, my response to all this is that the city made a decision, we moved forward, we believe we had the right to do so, and we've done it, and we've moved on to the next item. We have provided the DDA additional storage in the parking garage area, in a storage area that we have there. While not climate controlled, it does account for some of those other things that would otherwise be stored in this space. We've moved on.
You mentioned you moved on, but I mean, I'm sure the city doesn't want, in the press and everything else, litigation between the DDA and the city. That's not good for anybody, right? Is there an open-mindedness to move the wall a little bit over to do some of these things so we can accommodate to be able to run it? I mean, I would think the city wants success at Old School Square, right? I would think, I was at the hearing when the city voted and said it would be a good idea to put the ceramics facility in there, the school in there, and so forth. So I watched that and I followed that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be, I saw earlier today another situation between two government agencies, and some of that direction was taken by both, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a good solution at the end. I would hope that it's not that we've moved on, that we have an open mind. If you can reorganize and be able to do and accomplish what you're trying to do with the school in here, by giving up a little bit more space. Are you saying that's off the table? There's no way they're not going to do it?
I think that we've given up the space that we could. We have moved that wall since the initial design. I'm not going to tell you it's closed. We'll always talk, but I don't think anything's going to change.
Now, if I could,
I didn't actually get a chance to finish.
Yes.
So
Okay, go ahead.
no problem. So I think that, thank you. I think that since we're in this workshop setting, I kind of thought that was going to be the sentiments anyway. Like it's done, it's finished. So we just need to try to figure out what we can look forward to as alternative solutions that we can create. There's nothing. Like, so I throw some ideas out if we could do air conditioned pod storage in a parking garage or something like that, if that's a possibility. Just, I don't know what it costs off the top of my head, but looking at the fact that this one wall was 30 feet and so you got like a 30 by, that's what I'm looking at here. This says it's 30 feet long, 30 by 10.
Yeah.
So if essentially 2 parking spaces with some mini splits could essentially do the storage portion of it. It's not necessarily as convenient, but that's just what I came up with off immediately. So I'm with the idea of not getting into it with the city. Yeah, let me just finish. I'm with the idea of not getting into it with the city. I'm with the idea of playing nice with the city, as nice as possible. I hear you when you're like, man, there's nothing we could do. There's no middle ground, and I get that. But I think at this point, we just got to kind of figure out how we can operate the way we're supposed to operate, and essentially with one hand kind of tied behind your back to do the best job that you can do.
Go ahead, Al.
thank you. I'm not going to bore you all again, but as nice as you're being and as fair as you're being by offering the city an opportunity, they didn't offer us an opportunity. They didn't tell us about it until they had made their commitment and they were moving forward, even though they knew we had a lease and they knew that we had rights to the space. And that still is my main argument. It's unfortunate that the cities move forward doing all the stuff they're doing and that they're uncomfortable with any changes. But we were uncomfortable. Laura fought to discuss it with them. They gave her no discussion. This meeting you're doing and giving Jeff an opportunity wasn't offered to us. They just moved forward. They didn't care. They didn't listen. I can't believe they did what they did and how they did it. I'm alarmed. I was there. I fought. Laura fought. You have multiple letters from Laura and me, and yet you just heard the opinion of the city. That is why, not now and not lawsuits, but before, when it started, I wanted to stop it and nip it in the bud. And we haven't and didn't do that then, and perhaps now we can't fix it the way I wanted to. But I wanted you all to know what we went through to get to this point and what we could have avoided had we done this in a different manner from the very beginning. The question you just asked, Jeff, is the question I asked then and could get nowhere with the city. I wish you were the chair then. Maybe you would have done a better job. But I feel like I've let the DDA down in some fashion because the city is moving along and building and crafting, and really we haven't had the true discussion with them yet, which is, in our amendment, it says it's our property to use.
Last I checked, the city manager runs the city, right? And Jeff works under the city manager, but
Yeah.
they all, the city manager reports to the city commission. The last city commission meeting that I watched, I saw a number of the commissioners say that this needs to work more as a partnership. So I'm not a firm believer, just throw the towel in and that it's over. I think there is a majority of the city commission that wants to see the DDA continue to successfully run Old School Square and so forth. And I think there is an interest if they knew the issues. Unfortunately, the decision was made before we could even look at it or anything else and so forth.
And before
but I
they-
still believe if we unite and come back and talk to the city commission, I think there may be some ability to change that. Maybe there's not, if one person or two people and not a majority of the city commission are making this decision, there's not. But if it's a majority of the city commission, I believe there's a solution out there to make this work. That's just my opinion.
It's a good opinion
I
from my
think to
position.
echo, I mean, this picture was taken a week ago. It's like it'd be a half-day project to move everything
Yeah,
over if we
it's
can get
not-
the
it's not
commission on
difficult
board
at all.
with this.
Yeah, I'll ask the question.
It's not like they have built-in walls and stuff iron like bolted to the ground. I mean, it's a half-day move if we can get the commission to kind of hear us out and find some middle ground on this.
Yeah.
But what's the middle ground for the kiln? There's no middle ground.
Kiln doesn't need to move, right? The
yeah,
request is this wall will just be 10 feet off the other wall, right? So we just move that that
again,
wall
so
5 feet over.
If I may,
So it's just shaking here.
yes, solution oriented. We've been trying down this path again, meeting as many times as possible. Not even to have to come through this process. You all make the decision when the ILA has to be resolved. It's going to hinder some of the functions that we can do. We're going to have to find new things to do, right? A new ways to do it, as Jewel kind of said. The space, we welcome you guys to come over and see it, take a look. I think as we plan and what we're doing and how we're functioning in there is all going to it's going to be different. The parking garage, while I did see it, we don't have access to it right now. No one's given us a key. No one's walked us through that process. Honestly, it's gone quiet since, as far as the conversation about this, I don't know, for the past month and a half. So, to me, it's just going to change the way we're operating. So we're going to have to be creative, which is fine, which we'll do a great job on that. And I've asked for the plan of how the school's going to operate, what the operational hours are, because we're going to have to coexist in this space. And we're running an amphitheater with load-ins, load-outs, people coming in and out of there, who's monitoring the space in the back. There's a lot of little details that have to be worked out that hopefully we'll get to. So, but to function, the space has to. Are you going to say something? Oh. Okay. So to function as a storage space for us, our intent was to have that wall go all the way down. So to move into that roll-up door is going to be difficult to get up in and out of there, because that goes back up on stage. So again, it's unfortunate because this could have been done a lot differently mid decision made how do we use the space, but again, you've all said a lot of things, and Alex, what did you have in mind to say? To share.
I just wanted to repeat what Laura said. I do handle a lot of the rentals on the space, so I feel like that's gonna be an issue with, like Laura said, what the operating hours are gonna be, because we do have the rentals, and that is what the space is used for as well. So we also have to be mindful that a lot of them at the amphitheater have music. And so, they're in and out backstage. And so if they're going to be operating the ceramic studio while we're also having a rental, then that is also going to be a huge challenge. So
We must know, I mean, I gotta believe that the school's running during the day. Is it an after-hours school program? Is it?
I don't know.
So it
I
is?
don't know yet.
I mean.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. I think, it seems to be back to the board for your decision, right?
Well, Al, I think we all know where you stand. You want to go for the juggler or as close to it as possible.
I know you think it sounds that way, but that's not how I feel. I heard Brian talk about his years of commercial rentals and sales. You're in it too. A lease is a lease is a lease. You make an agreement with your landlord. You put it together, you sign it. You do it and you trust them. And when they renege on it like this, I think it's an issue.
It's an
But I
ILA
don't
agreement,
think-
not a lease, but I do agree
Well,
with
it's
you.
an amendment in our contract with the city.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's got to be an amendment. I don't think it's necessarily all been handled correctly, but at this point,
Excuse
the
me,
question is
Brian,
what can you do?
I couldn't talk when you talk, so let me talk now.
Please.
The ILA amendment number 2 specifically outlines the property that we're talking about as ours to use, period. If the city had come to us properly and discussed it in the manner we're discussing it today with them, this would be a non-issue. It's an issue because the city just bullishly moved forward, ignoring the relationship and the collaboration of which they speak so highly between the DDA, and which is required in our charter. But what they talk about and what they do sometimes is different, like we all do. But in this case, the city moved forward without telling us.
I
They
think
planned-
the issue personally was, if I can interrupt, I'm sorry, but I think the issue was that the city commission, when they took their vote to do the school here and here, did not understand the ramifications. It was not brought to them. And so I believe the city commission took that vote based on not having the knowledge of how this would affect the whole situation. I don't think the city wants Old School Square to continue to function. And if that's the case, they should just take it all over and run it, and it's their program. And let them do as
Yeah,
they
but
want.
we're talking
But
about
I
a
mean-
very specific thing right now.
No, I understand.
We're just
but
talking
I'm
about
just,
this.
I'm just saying that I still think that there was not a understanding by the majority of the commission at the time that vote was taken on how this was affected.
That wasn't a vote. That was legal language written by the attorney.
No, I'm talking about the vote that I saw at the commission meeting, that's all.
Oh, well, but for the record, okay, the city commission was not asked, did not vote on this change that we're doing now. They didn't vote for it. I'd like to see them do it, and I think it's a powerful idea to have the commission evaluate what we're talking about today. I think I wish they were all here and they could talk. That would be a possible solution. But meanwhile, we've lost, and the city has usurped valuable, necessary, needed space. And what we're arguing for now, this 10 feet one way or another, does not really fix the problem. And what's worse is the problem shouldn't be a problem. It should never have happened. And here we are. So I think that moving forward with the commission is an excellent idea. I'm glad you brought it up, and I wish I had. And I'll shut up. Go ahead, Brian, if you want.
Wait, so who put this in motion then if the commission didn't put it in motion?
Put what in motion?
The taking over of the storage area.
You have ask Jeff.
I think it came from the direction of the city manager.
Yeah, this was a request to the city manager to take on some ceramics classes. It was investigated and found out this was the best space, and we proceeded.
Did it go in front of the commission or no?
Later.
To move ahead with it, no, it was an administrative decision as is appropriately for the administration. After questions came up, it was discussed with the commission. The commission didn't have any objection at that time.
Okay.
Jeff, did the city commission understand how this would affect the potential operation of the overall?
I can't speak for the city commission and what they knew or didn't know or how they were
Was
interpreting
it
anything
presented to
before.
them that it would potentially affect the operation, or did the city?
I think they were
feel it
told
was
what the city was
necessary to
doing
reach out
and
to
what
the
conclusion they
DDA?
came to, I couldn't tell you.
Laura? I'm sorry, I thought you wanted to say. I'm sorry, I thought you,
I think that what-
I thought he didn't say it, I'm sorry.
Was there ever a point where we, as the DDA, presented the commission with the information on how this would affect the running of Old School Square?
To be honest, and at that same the commission meeting, then when that presentation was put on the agenda that night, because I met with Jeff that day, earlier that day, and we walked through the ceramics or the storage area, as he told me that this was happening and showed me the layout. And then that same night is when the presentation was presented about the ceramic studio to the commission, and at public comment I made a comment that I was unaware of this and that it is a storage area, and so I did respond that it would impact, but just in a very short minute, and have since then that started all of these conversations and these letters with the city to staff to see how do we move forward with this.
But the city commission didn't vote. It wasn't an action item for them.
Again,
I thought
don't
they
think it
voted
needed
to
vote.
put the school in there.
They didn't vote for the
was under
ceramics
He
Ceramics
even
lab.
said they didn't vote.
It was
But
in
what
the
he
It was
said,
an administrative item that didn't require the commission's approval.
Right.
The commission was presented with what we were doing, and they did not disagree or say anything negative about it.
Let's try to bring this to a head here. I mean, what is
Are we
the
on 2A still? This is the 2A discussion?
Yes.
direction that
Yes.
I think they both kind of morphed a little bit.
Yeah,
2A
did
and
a little bit.
2B, a little bit.
I mean, if we're looking for consensus, on 2A, again, if possible, we'd like to continue some discussion with the city, but in general, I'm not looking to have a fight on the interlocal agreement, if that makes sense.
So
for
from
the
what
direction.
I've heard is the discussion needs to be with the city commission and not necessarily the city, because there's been
Right, yeah, that's,
numerous
I guess they just
discussions
need
and
to understand
letters.
that this area is mission critical to us
Yeah.
running the entire campus, from our rentals to the stages to the museum. It's mission critical space to the operation, and we're just need to make sure that they're 100% clear on that if they do want to move forward, because it just
Yeah,
as the budget affects us, so does this in a not great way.
Well said. Thank you.
Well, I would say, please let's not vote on this Fourth Amendment without reading it and having another discussion about it, because some of the stuff in it
There's
is
no
really...
votes. This is a workshop, so
Yeah.
we won't be voting on
Okay,
anything.
and so we can't vote at this? There's no
No.
action? Oh, good. Okay, then,
All right, I'm in consensus with Brian.
Aaron? Please, of course.
I've never seen the city build something that quick. So, is there any options at all?
Well, we could build it that quick because it doesn't require any permits. All the mechanical equipment was already there, and these are half walls.
Okay, so we're pretty much done.
Pretty much, yes. Incidentally, also, if the DDA needs access to that additional storage space at the garage, Laura just needs to contact Missy Barletto. She's ready to hook her up with that access. She was just kind of waiting on when the DDA wanted to utilize it.
Cleared out and everything?
My understanding is it's ready for you. You just got to reach out and say you're ready for it, and we will get you in there.
then hopefully we can consider presenting this to the city commission.
Yeah, I think we should.
I think that's a great
if
idea.
they're, let them walk over there and see it and understand it, so forth. I don't think they did. And for that matter, I'm not so sure the city manager understood how it would affect it, so forth. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but.
all I was going to say was, I'm sure that the city and the city manager and the city commissioner are very proud of everything that happens at Old School Square, and it makes them very proud that that Mariska's doing her job and Laura and the team are doing theirs. And I don't think that anybody would want to undo that or unravel something. So I agree 1,000% that we at least present to them the challenges that we're facing. Perhaps, Mariska, you could explain that fitting the crates can't make the turn, and we're not really sure how to. Nobody would want to see the beautiful art not presented at the museum and all of those things. So I think there has to at least be a conversation so that we can collectively put our heads together and say, okay, we understand you're doing this. We understand you've moved ahead. We understand you had the right to do that in your eyes. Okay, no argument. No one's going to sue you. No, but help us come up with a solution to solve the problems that we have, and so that way we can still do a great job running what we're running and still, make Old School Square fantastic.
When's the next city commission meeting? October 14th. Is that when you all are looking to have the discussion?
I think we need to get with the commissioners ahead of time.
Right.
Let them walk into the space and see it and understand it. And I think that would be my recommendation if the board is in agreement, is invite each of the commissioners to come over there, probably independently, so we're not doing anything wrong, right? And certainly, I don't need to be there. An executive director could be there, or I can be there. I just don't want more than one board member there.
I think you could, give Laura that direction to facilitate those with their schedules.
100%. I think we should, if everybody's in agreement, I would like to have them there.
Better, I think.
I don't want to just go to the city commission meeting and then stand up there and not have them educated to be able to understand what they're talking about.
If it's okay if I speak, I think it would be super beneficial for you to pull some measurements. And I think a lot of this is about space. So I think a lot of this is Victoria. It's about the quantity of the things that need to be stored there physically, how much space they take up, Mariska. The crates that need to come in physically, what are the dimensions of those things? What are the largest ones that come in? And I think we need to have sort of at least the information that's the correct information to say logistically we need to be able to facilitate this, and how can we do it if these are the measurements we're dealing with.
And I hate to spend money that's maybe not wisely spent, but maybe we need to get one of these little dollies large dollies that carry these crates so they can see it with their own eyes, so they can see, that you physically can't get it in and out. It's one thing to just say it there. It's another thing to physically see it.
Yeah.
So it may be helpful to.
Is this the request that makes everything work? The 10 feet? Do we know?
That's what they gave us.
I don't know.
We'd
We'd have to measure it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I just want to mention, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn, but
please.
the one thing that concerns me is that we are in a quiet, slow time right now. What's going to happen when we get busier and busier, and we have concerts happening at the amphitheater, so there's going to be a lot of moving of things in and out. Right now, I happen to experience this with 2 crates, and the solution was to have the boxes taken off the crate so that they could be wheeled in instead of even trying to deal with the crate and try to figure out a pallet jack. So because the FedEx driver came and saw it and said, let me take it off the crates and pull it in that way. That was additional work that he did for us. He didn't really need to do that. But what's going to happen when we're busier and busier and busier with amphitheater and more rentals in the vintage gym and all of that, we have a large structure, a large cart that holds folding chairs right now. Right. You couldn't wheel that cart out of where it is right now into the amphitheater space. There's no room to do that. It's not possible. So those are the kind of things that we need to be thinking about forward. We anticipated these issues when we first saw these plans, but got nowhere with it. So I think that's important to remember.
Or maybe we look at our wish list plus what we could survive with or work with.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if this was already implied, but I think obviously Mariska should be there to walk them through everything
Right.
as well.
So, and Mariska's been part of this in some of these meetings. We actually had a meeting with the city manager with Mariska and shared the history and of this space because Mariska has years of historical knowledge of intimately on Old School Square.
It may be helpful
So-
to see if they can coordinate to have the city manager there when the commissioners individually come, because it may help in that process.
Sure.
Can we ask Jeff to just verify that we can get on the 14th agenda? I know this pre-work is going to happen, but you want to still get on that agenda to have the public discussion with all of them at the same time based on the findings. Whether everyone's able to do it or not by the time you don't want to go further than, because that's what, 2 weeks away
sense.
now?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, it makes
That
sense.
makes sense,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Jeff, is it possible to get on the,
Just send a request with any backup information, and we'll get it on the agenda.
Is this verbal request not enough?
No, I prefer to have something in writing, as well as any information you want to present has to be in my hands at least a week before the meeting. Any PowerPoint presentation has to be given to me no later than.
There's no exceptions to that?
we got more than enough time.
Yeah, okay, all right. I just want to make sure that this is able to be put on as an item and not from a public comment 3 minutes standpoint.
And one of the reasons I asked for it as writing is I don't control the agenda, so you give it to me in writing, I'll present it, and I mean, I don't see a problem at all, but I can't guarantee it.
Mr. Moore controls it, correct?
Mr. Moore and the mayor.
Okay. All right.
I don't see it being a problem, but it does have to go through the proper channels.
You could just use the letters from Laura from June and July and August.
None of those requests going before the commission.
All right. We'll handle
You're
it.
tough. Jim, may I?
Yes.
Okay. Would you please, if you would, could you ask Laura what if her ideal outcome of the commission request would be? Would it be that they move all their stuff out so we have the space back, or is there some lesser alternative that would suit you?
Well, I think there's two answers. You know, I've said and stayed steadfast as the team for this space, as you all said very well, starting, it's mission critical for the entire campus. All 5 entities that are there use this space collectively. And to chop it up to make it now work in a different way changes the mission a little bit. So for me, and for us as the stewards of the 3 other parcels of this campus, knowing what we've seen and how it works, ideally it should stay a storage facility and a workroom facility, because there isn't a place out of the elements to do that. You can't do it in the wedge underneath the parking garage. Those are things that you can't do. So for us, very small staff, it's gonna hinder that. But as we move, however, to be, in that collaboration, partnership to find a common solution, we have to put all those pieces together to see what works, which we looked at, quickly. We knew this was moving fast. So when we said, okay, we need, 10 feet versus 5 feet, it's just, it was those things and just knowing how quickly it was going, trying to find a way to, make it better. And so for us, not taking everything into consideration, it's not really fair. So I would like us to be able to do that, to provide a proper solution.
What's the best solution?
Option 1, I guess.
Could just tell them,
Yeah, but
please.
that's not going to happen.
I would just
that train has left the station.
Of
I
course.
don't see that
But,
coming
yes.
back, and I'm not going to sit here and think that.
Someone just taking the whole space.
Yeah.
Well, and it's to be used. To have refrigerator, pantry, everything's used by the whole
Right,
place.
and
That's
maybe we
that's
all
a
can share
fantasy one, right? Yes,
the
yeah,
space and work
yeah.
together and
Yeah.
have Jim's
Do they need
little
a wall
corner in the
down there?
refrigerator and whatever else. So I
Right.
don't know, just there's-
Share both sides, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a way to share it, both sides, so they get around.
Does the kiln have to be in the classroom?
There's a
I don't
kiln in the arts garage. They already have
But
a
I'm just
kiln.
saying,
Yeah,
that the
that's not
classroom be
convenient,
in the
though,
crest
for-
and the kiln
Just
be...
like it isn't convenient for us to lose the space.
I understand, but it's
A lot of these conversations should have probably been happening in April or May when this started.
Yes,
So,
that-
that's just to be transparent, and we not just find out when it's done. So,
Yeah,
and
let's-
maybe a better, that would have probably made things,
let's move on
Yeah,
to make sure
exactly.
we get through the rest of the agenda here and timeliness and so forth.
Appreciate it.
I think the direction's been given and received to get the commissioners over there, city
Yep.
manager, show them the issue that we're having. And hopefully we can get to the city commission on the 14th, make sure you get the letter in
Yeah.
more than a week ahead of time. And any presentation that you would be doing, so forth, have that all take place. So hopefully at the 14th, there can be some actionable item. I don't know what it takes for the commission to have action on an item. Is it just have to be on the agenda, or does it Is there more than that?
Okay. I'll work with the city and we can
Okay.
get that back to
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think we have item 2B. Did you have anything else, Al? This was an item that you wanted to. But I think we've talked about all. That.
I thought pretty much what Jeff did when he came up and did his little spiel. I thought that pretty much stated most of what I wanted to say, which is that the word collaboration doesn't seem to mean much to the city anymore when it comes to the DDA. I'm very disappointed in the way our relationship has deteriorated in the last 6 months or so. The city staff has become less transparent. Something like the ceramics lab doesn't get, I don't know how long the city was formulating a plan to use that property, but they knowingly made the plan without even having a decision from the city attorney as to whether they had the rights to the property, knowing that we had the rights to the property. And the city did the parking presentation and all the stuff that we're scrambling now to help utilize and bring out October 1st, but the city didn't come to us and talk to us about that. We are responsible for the business environment of the downtown. I take it really, really seriously, as I hope and know you all do. I know the DDA team does, but I don't know that the staff does of the city. And I don't know that they're getting direction from the city manager's office like I would like to believe I would be giving them, which is we need to work with the DDA. They are an important arm. I've heard that said by the mayor at your very seat in the city commission meetings, but I don't see it as clearly being exercised by the team. And that is what the rest of my speech was. And that was the condensed version.
I think that's it on that item. Any other comments on 2B and
Yeah, I'll just broad discussion, because it is on the agenda here, is that there's obviously an issue. You know, like it's like an elephant in the room, and we have an awesome staff. Our staff just does everything they can to make the best museum we have, to activate that campus. And this isn't even their real job. You know, their real job is supporting our downtown businesses, focused on parking, focused on economic development. I am a big believer of culture and art being really important to our downtown. I was once on the board of the Arts Garage. I saw that through some really hard times. Now it's in a great place. But that, you know, and even being on the Arts Garage board, we always saw Old School Square as the cultural hub for our downtown. And it's part of the fabric of this city. And I think our team has done beyond an amazing job from taking this asset, which lost all of its branding. When Old School Square left, we had no website, we had no landing page, we had nothing. And to be a few years down the road now, to have thousands and thousands of people looking at our emails, going to our events, supporting what we're doing, bringing these people downtown, activating this area, it's so important, right? But at the same time, throughout this process, I've been like, this is a lot of work. Our team is doing a lot of work. Our team is getting burnt out. I said it years ago. They're still like burning, and now it's become like a political hot potato in a number of ways. And the collaboration and partnership isn't there with the city as we really need it to be. And it's their asset, and the city does a ton for this property as well. I mean, just reading the ILA, just so everyone understands. The city pays the electric bill. The city maintains the grass. The city is responsible for almost, we're in charge of operating it, but a number of the operating expenses our city supports, and it's their building. Amazing. And again, it's just, we're all working on this thing together. It's not working out great right now. You know, we have termination clauses, they have termination clauses. I'd almost the things that are killing me is that we're losing mission critical space to operating the property. Our budget continues to get taken away, even though we're told we're doing a great job. It's like, hey, here's $1.2 million. Do work. We're gonna try to stand it up with $1.2 million. We stand it up with $1.2 million. Great, you did awesome. Here's $1 million. Great. Here's $800. Wait, no, $700. It's like our budget. It's like just setting us up for disaster. Now we're having issues working on operating the property as well as we can by losing some space. Which again, the ceramics class could be great for the facility, but it's like a two-headed monster where the city's got, the art school and we're doing this and we're fighting over spaces, and it always just needs to be one person kind of directing it all. I don't necessarily think the city should be in the business of running the entire place either. I don't know who the next person, entity, situation is, but what we're doing right now is not sustainable. And especially given the relationship, it's just not sustainable. And I'm not looking to throw the keys at the city and be like, here, we don't want it. No, we all have to work together, but I think we have to work in a way, whether it's a year's notice or whatever we decide to do in the future, I think we need to look for a solution, because the budget being cut, our expectations, expected to deliver on what we've been delivering on the year before, and just the situation with, even the ability to run it, I'm nervous about now with my team. And I don't know, we need to have a real discussion about it. And I think we need another workshop with the city, with ourselves, and with some of the city staff and some of our staff, really like looking at what do the next 3 to 5 years look like for this incredible asset, our cultural hub. Because again, we were given the ball, we had to stand it up. And I think we've done an awesome job at that. But now we need to, again, with everyone's consensus, and our staff's consensus too. I need them. It's hard when you're running something and your heart's in it and you've been working on it so hard and so long, to have to see it off somewhere. We're going to be heavily involved, whoever comes in, whatever comes in, because no one understands it like we do at this point in time. And I just think it has to be a collaborative effort. I think that's where we're going. It's kind of a place I've always seen it going, but now our team is it's this political stuff, it eats you up. The Facebook stuff, the news articles, the this, the that, the questioning of your ethics. We have a great team. I know everything we do is above board. I've enjoyed working with everyone, and I look forward to working with everyone. But I just need to take care of our team. I need to make sure we take care of this cultural asset, and I want to do it in a way working with the city. I don't know exactly what those steps look like. I don't know who the next entity, person, group coming in is, but we need to start really working on something. And we can be a part of that. It's not like we're not involved anymore. We're always going to be involved. But those are my 5 cents.
No, I think can I jump in? I think, Brian, that was great. I think it was perfect, and I echo all of those sentiments. I think the sad thing is, for me, just having watched the DDA over the years and watching what's the wonderful things that have been happening with Old School Square, is that I think probably had there been, or if there were, support, if there wasn't taking the budget away, but actually supporting it, saying, look, this is going in a good direction. You're showing capability, you're showing commitment, you're showing passion, and this is going in a good direction. We don't want to trip that up or throw a stumbling block in the way. We want to actually support you in that. I think the DDA probably could continue and probably could run all of it, but it would only work if it were a collaborative thing, if there were support, if there was a whole team unit there. Then I think actually we'd probably be some of the best people to run it. But if that's never going to be the case, and there is this sort of, for whatever reason, this sort of, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of word to give it, but clearly something's wrong, right? Whatever that elephant in the room is, if that can't be cleared out, then you're right, it's not sustainable. If it can be cleared out, I think it can not only be sustainable, but I think it could thrive. So I think it's, where will it go from here? How do we make that plan? And how do we find out what really is causing the sort of disarray? And is it something that we can jump on, talk through, and get rid of it? Or is it something that we can't, and we have to just pass on the torch?
Anybody down this side?
Just something that I thought about. Okay. I don't know if I'm missing something huge on it, but whether we could work with the city to cultivate their own board to run the square down the road. Is that just a huge obstacle of some sort, or?
An independent
yeah, exactly.
board.
Work with the city to put together a board to take over Old School Square.
I think those are part of that. That's the next step, because honestly, government running this entity is not ideal.
Yeah.
I think we've talked lots and just outside, also talking with other cultural entities. That should be a invested board into the arts and culture scene of this campus, and that would be part of building that next future plan. So, our team's had a lot of conversation around this. Maruska has been part of this in the past, but that is something that having annually going through this process, and as leadership changes, it's not a sustainable model. So we have, as Brian said, and thank you, Brian, for your words and leadership. And it's really around that guiding of what that looks like. What is that future look like? And for Old School Square, and it needs to be solid, because this is a huge economic impact driver for the arts and culture scene of our and community of our region. Not just our city, but the region sits in the center on Main and Main, in the center of our downtown, in a historic site that is 100 years old and 110 years old, that needs to be treasured and running 365 days of the year. It's not. It runs half of that. And it really should be a driver of revenue, not only just to itself, and it should be sustainable. It should be a place that thrives and grows all the entities in a destination, and creating the district, an arts and entertainment district that is thriving because of it. So that's the goal, and that's the future. When we stepped into this role, we were filling a gap. We were hopefully going to be able to get that plan together, pass that torch, and have it running full blast. It is and we've done a gargantuan task to be here right now, and continue to have that passion and have that love and care for the community, because the community out there, they love it. They're out there, they're coming to the events, the teams, hospitality is fantastic. They're coming in the museum, they're feeding off of this, and we're building momentum, and that was our goal, is to get that momentum, lift it up, and continue open the doors, continue to shine the light. And it's now just really, what's that next phase? And we can get there. I know we can. And there's bumps along the road. There is. And I know our city is fantastic. And I know our city staff works hard. The city staff that works these events is amazing. City staff that works here with us they're doing really a great job as well. We just have to get over these humps and these hurdles and work together instead of working to sabotage each other. And we have to be better, and that's what I tell my team. We got to bring the best versions of ourselves every time, be the best that we can do for our community, and just, really, this place is the people's place. Old School Square is the people's place, and the plans that we put together are really because of what we hear from the community and what they want. So, we put the plan together. You have it in your backup. Our business plan for the year was working. Maruska is we're leaning into the Cornell Art Museum always, because it has it's operational 5 days a week and more, and it's free to the community. It's a community's establishment, and it is on Atlantic Avenue in Swinton. So that is where it needs to thrive, because if it's quiet there and dark, it makes everything else that way. But it is the oldest building on the campus. It is it's a gem, and Maruska's done an amazing job of curating and continuing to cultivate and elevate the arts community in that space. And she's got a great year planned. She's operational. So as we go through these things back to the sustainable place, every year we don't know what our budget's going to be, and we've got you can't plan,
Well, we know it's going to
30 days
consistently
in
shrink.
advance, right?
That's the reality.
Right, but I'm just saying, as a sustainable model, it's like you can't. If we knew in January what we were going to be for the next year, then it gives us hope of what we can plan. You can't book talent. You can't book artists. You can't run this space with a 90-day lead. It's not possible. So. With that,
we need to keep moving here. So Al, go ahead, finish up.
Yeah.
If you don't, and then
Well, 2B is collaboration between the DDA and the city, not really specifically just the Old School Square. Brian, honestly, I fought so hard to get the Old School Square campus because the previous independent body that ran it for 30 years had problems. And we were the perfect solution at the time. And I heard what you said, and I sort of do and sort of don't agree, because part of me just wants to have it and make sure that we take care of it, as has been done so far. Our success with it is terrific. But I also can see where another board could do it, relieve this team of the pain and anguish of running such a big business with so many multiple venues. But at the moment, nothing else is out there that's better. But if the city, again, with the collaboration at the Old School Square level with the usurpation of some space and now the reduction in the fees, it becomes more and more difficult that I see, and I agree with you, to sustain the operation. But as the collaboration between the city and the DDA affect the Old School Square, it affects our daily operations of the DDA. The work that Laura and the team do without Old School Square involvement at all is still so vital, with parking and the operations of downtown on every level. And that relationship with the city is also muggy at best. And that is a great concern to me. Jeff told me that the city is maturing, that they're trying to mature the city's operations. Along with that comes separation between pieces of the city and walls and boundaries. And it affects even within the city. Now you can't talk to one person because there's an online setup you got to go through before you can talk to them. I'm going to go pay my bill today for the business tax in person, because online I went through about 12 pages of questions that have already been answered because I've had 20 years of the license. It got so complicated, I just turned off the machine and I wrote a check and I'll deliver it over there. My point is that along with this maturity development of the city comes boundaries between the DDA and the city, where we can't ask Jeff. Well, he's right there. And Laura says, well, we want to go for the October 14th meeting. He wants,
Let's
pictures and photographs. No, I'm just saying.
Right, but let's move on. We've
well,
beaten
that's
this horse.
that's what 2B is.
Right.
2B is all about collaboration.
Right,
I
we
think-
know that doesn't exist right now. That's a reality, right?
Okay,
So
well, that's really good. Thank you. That
that's-
saved a lot of the next stuff.
just-
Thank you. There you go.
It doesn't exist right now. Hopefully, there's a solution to get there. And hopefully this discussion and maybe this little walkthrough will help with that, and we'll find out. The commission may turn around and say, you know what, we like it the way it is, it's fine, it's done, and that gives us kind of our direction to try to move towards the exit strategy. And
But
move
now you're
on.
talking about Old School Square again.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the city relationship with the DDA
Yeah.
for our regular
That's-
business.
I think without Old School Square being involved, I think a lot of that will come more into line where it
Perhaps.
probably was. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but again, I just think that this seems to be a
You sold me a
consensus
little, so
item.
that's pretty good.
Okay.
If you can sell me, you can sell.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, Mariska, you did, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move into the GC.
Mm-hmm.
Just so everybody knows, we have to leave here at 2:00. So.
Yep, we'll be out of here at 2
All right.
o'clock, I promise you. The gavel will be
We got a
down.
lot planned for this
Right.
next year. I don't know.
So, since we haven't had a detailed discussion, this has been really great discussion, and I really appreciate everybody's input with everything. I wanted just to go through the plan briefly. You have a very detailed document in behind you. You have the dollars that we've outlined and you've seen several times. But wanted just to go through a little bit more and give Mariska time, as well as go through some of the plans that we have already for ticketed events. So, again, our charge is to program and activate the Cornell Art Museum, which is a world-class exhibitions, community engaging art programming, the amphitheater, and the whole grounds, which is the stage, including the park area. So there it's, again, we'll continue to grow by strengthening operations, expanding cultural programming, recognizing the 100th anniversary of both the Crest Theater building, the Crest building, which is the high school, and the gym. Those were created in 1925 and 26. So we're in that 100-year time frame. So really engaging that throughout the year, and doing that through the Cornell Art Museum, the amphitheater, and the vintage gym. So I want to start, and I'm going to turn it over to Mariska to share with you what she's got planned for the museum this year.
So just so you know, there are some notes on the screen, but I've added to that, so I have a few more things to say. We are hosting or planning in 2025 to host 15 world-class exhibitions. I've given you all a list of where I am so far. I'm into end of July already, so these are confirmed, planned, and I want to explain that just booking an exhibition does not mean making a phone call to an entity on the other end who says, sure, I'll give you 70 pieces of art. That's
Come on, Mariska,
not
that's
what
not
we're
how
doing.
It works.
Not at all.
That's how it worked.
So what's involved in that is, first of all, heart for the art, because you have to understand what art does for people and how it affects people and how it impacts them. You want to make sure you have something for everyone so that everyone can walk into the museum and glean something from that. You have to make sure that what's on the first floor relates to the second floor. You have to make sure that everything is available, that your staff is on board, that you have art handlers, you have shipments, you have all these things. There's a lot of moving parts to putting 15 exhibitions together. And if I have not made that clear since 22, it's my fault, because sometimes I tend to make things look easy. And I'm sorry for that, because this is not easy. This is tough. And the hardest part about doing this is that you have to have an understanding of the community that you are in, not just Delray Beach. We are part of South Florida Arts. That means we have people from Miami coming because we have great exhibitions and they're coming to see them. We have people from Martin County, we have people from Port St. Lucie, from everywhere. We have people from Orlando coming to see the icons of art because they heard about it and it's a world-renowned thing. They want to come see it. So this is what it's going to take to move this museum forward. And I'm not saying I'm the only person that can do this, but we need to be sure that whoever does this understands all of that and has those things at heart and understands that this is the heart of our town, and people don't really care who's running what building. They don't care. They want to know that there's a creative arts school where they can take a class. They want to know the museum is there for them to see wonderful exhibitions and somebody is caring for these buildings. They want to know they can rent the gym for their wedding. They want to know that there's going to be a great concert outside that they can come and listen to. And they also really want that theater reopened inside. So this is what the community wants, and I think we need to be stewards of that and making sure that we have felt this way from the beginning. We're the DDA. We're interested in the heart of this town. We know what this community needs, and one of the things it needs is a kick-ass art center. So we know that, and we've been doing it from the beginning. This is where our heart has been. We've been completely invested. We're working, for me, harder than I've ever worked in my life. Thank you very much. But I'm doing it. And I'm doing it out of love for the city and out of love of art and making sure that we continue. You know, we're a small museum, but we're being compared to the Boca. We're being compared to the Norton. People are looking at us and saying, oh, in Delray, there's that amazing little community center, art center that does great things. That's pretty incredible. We need to make sure that we hold on to that and that we steward it forward. And right now it's falling to us. It's falling to the DDA to do that. So we need to work with the city to make sure that that continues. And those keys just don't get handed to somebody who can throw art on a wall and call it an exhibition. That's not what an exhibition is. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you for listening to that. But can I just tell you more about what we're doing and then I'll move on? Okay. So we do 12 First Friday Art Walks every year. That means we are staffing for First Friday Art Walk, bringing in something new for people to see. We have yoga at the museum Wednesday and Friday, incredibly attended. People love that. We have music at the museum every Wednesday. We're bringing back Art on the Square, which is a fine art show that I ran previously. I had 6 successful fine art shows. Now we're bringing it back because it's a fundraiser and it's a great community-driven event that we can bring more people to the campus, art lovers to the campus. Our attendance is about 1,500 on average. That's per month on average. Sometimes it's many more. Sometimes we have 700 for an exhibition. That's pretty awesome. But just as an average, we're there. Donations, we get $2,500 per month, about, on average. Our museum store sells about $2,000 worth of regional art per month. And our volunteer hours, we have 800 volunteer hours per month. We have 15 docents that are there every week and have a shift every week. And then we have additional special event volunteers that jump in. So that's what we're doing in the museum. It's not a small lift, it's a big lift, but we're doing it, and we need to make sure that whoever does it in the future rises to that level and does the same.
Thank you.
Quick question. Do you have enough money in the budget? We got about 100,000 for you this year. Last year you used about 120, 118. Is 100 enough? Again, I always see the budget running tight, and you do such a great job, and I just always want to see if that's enough for you.
Well, I'll tell you that most museums, when they're installing an exhibition, and our exhibitions are a little smaller, but they're out there with underwriting. They're getting $40,000 an exhibition, $50,000 an exhibition, underwriting, support, sponsorships.
Yeah, no, I know that. That's why I'm asking if you got enough.
We need to go there.
I want to make sure,
It's never enough.
All
I'll
right.
tell you that. And we work hard.
You're doing 15 shows a year.
16.
Right.
15, 16, and that's less than 10,000 per setting up, getting them in and out. Plus, the gift store's generating about 10%
A little
of that.
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And donations are coming in. They're maybe $35,000 a year. That's good.
And plus, you're selling some artwork sometimes, so you're getting a little.
Occasionally,
something
we don't
on
bank on that, but
I know.
occasionally that
That's nice when
happens.
that
Yeah.
happens.
Is
But
it
anyways,
enough?
I just-
It's never enough.
Right.
And do we need more to do bigger things? Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're doing Art on the Square. Last time I did Art on the Square, I did a fall show and a spring show, and it brought in $100,000 in profit. Those are the kind of things we need to look at and do more of. What do we need to do that, though? We need support. We need sponsorships to help.
All right. Thanks.
Yes. So, based on our budget, as I said earlier, we don't forecast for things
Right.
that we based on last year. So, sponsorship is where we fall short. So, contributions and sponsorship is where we really need your support as a board. So leading with the museum, and also part of, so as we activate outside in the outside in the amphitheater space, we look also at the seasons. We start winter and we do summer. Winter, we're seeing, and our team also manages the rentals. So we have the campus is a rental facility as well as the vintage gym. This year, we're seeing a huge increase in the rentals from private or nonprofits that are doing events out on the campus, as well as the city. So the city runs the holiday Christmas tree. So where we are, we're looking at filling those gaps. It's based on being strategic with how we're planning to fill in also what we've heard from the community, what they want to see. More free events, as well as some different type of theater performances. So as on the amphitheater, we have 2 ticketed big performances that we have scheduled, and where tickets are on sale now. Sponsorship is available. One is Patrick Lamb's, who is a national artist, does a Charlie Brown Christmas. It's a family event. It is a ticketed event. It's on December 17th and underneath the 100-foot Christmas tree. So we're really looking forward to that event. And Dirty Dancing Live is back, and that is it's a touring event. We're on their tour. We are a stop on their tour around it's a national tour. That'll be taking place on March 12th. So that's a Wednesday is December 17th. March 12th is a Thursday. So these are in the middle of the week, where most of those rentals that are happening are on weekends. The Green Market is starting again in October, so that happens on a Saturday every weekend. Cocoa Market's on a Sunday. There's a lot of things and then other festivals that are taking place as our team manages those as well. Movies on the Square. So this is something that'll be a free event. We wanted to bring something different back. If we do something more families and utilize the space during the week, that would be a free, but we would still fence it in and have concessions and allow people to we'll have vendors and add to that to help offset some of the expenses. Full Moon Yoga. We did this over the summer with our Summer of Love, and it was a huge success. It is a free event. Our city is a wellness thriving community, and it's growing and growing and growing. The amount of people that showed up for that was 1,100 people that are coming down. They're paying for parking. They're going out after, or going out before, or to get a coffee. So all of those free events do thrive the economy. So we'll look to do that starting in January as well. Winter and summer concerts, these are going to be more strategic on where we put those. We're really lean to summer to fill, because summer right now is very quiet and needs activity. We had a very hard summer, so our goal would be to really ramp and put heavier into the summer, because the rentals aren't as active in the summertime right now. We had great success with the Florida Panthers partnership this past year, so we'll be working closely with them to do more block parties. They contributed as bringing there and paying for it, and have been partnering with us to bring out the community, creating a fun, festive event as the Panthers launch their matches, kicking off in October. But we'll look to hopefully, and if they get into the playoffs, hopefully getting some watch parties to happen here. The venue management, that's where the Victoria and Alex work very, very hard to make sure that they're running this as a very high-end operation, working closely. We have live acts out there. We'll have management staff, facility staff to set up, break down, be there from the beginning to the end of this major setup and multiple days of events. So it really is really oversee and work with the producer to make sure that every need that they have is taken care of. The Vintage Gym. So the gym itself is where we really utilize this as a rental facility. We've had about 8 events this month alone. Look, we have 14 or 15, maybe more now for October, but almost 50% of the month is rentals in this gym, whether it's a lecture or something else, or even a bar mitzvah or a wedding. Those are rental pieces. So what we do is we've looked at this space and how can we best utilize that. We've done we'll be partnering with FAU again to do a lecture series just till December, and opening it, working hopefully with our historical society to do 100th anniversary historical lectures on the history of the space. An event showcase to really showcase the space, so working with our hotels and our other partners in the city to really do a kind of a trade show experience. And then bring back some of our fitness and yoga events that were really successful for us to do some ticketed things in there. Marketing is constant, always on, and as Brian said, that we had a lot of competition coming out of this, and Suzanne and Emily and our partners and our PR team and our agency and our creative team are working like 50% of their time running the marketing for Old School Square. The museum, the events that we're having there, the Vintage Gym, making sure the website, the emails, the social media, print, banners, designs, anything that's happening there needs to be marketed all the time, and in different ways than one or the other. So the Charlie Brown Christmas is very different than the Dirty Dancing Live and how it's marketed and advertised. So that is it's critical, and it needs to be ramped up. And in your plan, I put for us to really drive and grow, that marketing area really needs more. Needs a dedicated person. So while I hover and both the DDA and Old School Squares from the executive director level, so does Suzanne and Emily hover on both sides. So it's, again, not a sustainable model. The new brand, the rebranding launch that we have been working on for the past 2 years, we've got the logo ready. We're going to be launching that. Our goal was to launch that with the 100th year. So as we roll out our season, we'll be rolling that out. Actually, we're collaborating with Art and Jazz on the Avenue and having, because Art and Jazz on the Avenue is on the 22nd, and it's on Atlantic Avenue, and we're utilizing the front lawn of the museum to launch and celebrate the 100th anniversary, but also launch the brand. Anything else, Suzanne, on that you want to say? No? Okay, you're very quiet. Team, anyone else? So is that the last one? Oh, so Brian stole the thunder, but the future of the campus. So that, so as we go into this, and what we've been talking about really all day and all meeting is around, what's next and how we continue to move forward, operating and fulfilling our mission, both from an economic development, DDA, downtown perspective, but Old School Square's mission and what we set forth to do here. Our goal and what we said when we sat here in 2022 with the commission is that a strategic plan for the entire campus needs to be created. And in order for this to be successful for its future, and I'm saying it again, that it really needs to be done. And what that entity is, we have the Coletta report, we have lots of things that have been done over the years when it first was created. So looking back at that, maybe creating something similar, but it needs that, and it deserves it. So from an art lover's perspective and a cultural arts center that is a driver in our community needs to have that proper plan produced. So that is something that we will, and we've said this before, but I think we need to really stick to it and move forward in creating that this year.
Is that a workshop or something we do with the city too?
Yeah.
Somehow?
Well, if we're doing, I think you mentioned doing a workshop. I think that needs to start that conversation of what. I mean, we start tomorrow, our first day of 365 days of this next year. So it doesn't move fast. So we have to move fast to make us successful and make downtown and Delray more successful and Old School Square. So with that, I want to just, if you've had the information, I don't know if you have any questions or comments or team, anybody? Victoria? The pizza's settling in.
Yeah, thinking of getting another
It's time for a
slice
nap.
of
So it's not, this is part of our process. We do quarterly reports to the city. We've got, our plans in place, so we'll just continue to move forward. We really recommend that you all sit with Maruska, come to the museum, sit with the team, be on site at these events, chime in if you have suggestions or hearing things, but really if you have someone that you think would be a good sponsor or supporter of the arts and has interest and genuine interest, please let us know.
We can also, per the ILA, because I was reading, I saw, because again, I was doing my ILA homework.
Yeah.
I know we send quarterly reports to the city. Do we get any feedback on those? Do we get any, we heard anything on those reports?
We get, just not directly, just,
all right, yeah, just curious, because again, just
acknowledging receipts, yeah.
All right,
So,
good.
yeah.
And then the other thing was, I did see that we are able to sublease, parts of the campus, and then we are able to assign the actual ILA with the city's permission at some point. So again, the tools are there. We just all need to
Yep.
work together to
Right.
kind of make it happen.
Agreed.
So that's my last comments.
Al? Are we just going to do final comments?
Yes.
My final comment is I just want the board to understand that I've been admonished as the chair for never standing up and saying what I wanted and directing the meetings as they occurred on these issues that I brought up today. And I was admonished that I didn't speak up as I should have. And because of the sunshine laws, I can't talk to each one of you individually.
And do
so
not follow those. Do follow those. Do
Yeah,
not
yeah.
make that
And
mistake,
so I put it all together today for you, so you understand that those are the things I've wanted to say in the last couple of months. And if it bored you all, I apologize. If it upset you guys, I apologize. But for me, they're vital. I love the DDA and I love this team and what they do, both as an Old School Square operator and as the DDA. I see them as separate and I see them as together. And I just wanted you guys to know that if I seemed a little bit obsessive today, it's because I've been saving it up for months. And I finally got beaten to the point that I did it. And I hope it got us somewhere. And thank you for listening.
Julie? Thank you. Julie, anything?
No, I think, I will say this.
Wrapping up.
I love the idea that we're doing this. I think the days that we're not voting on something, but we actually just spend the entire time talking about things, I find to be incredibly refreshing, because sometimes I feel like we have an agenda, we come up here, it's so formal, we don't really discuss anything, we vote on something, and then we don't see each other again until the next month. And these are the things I actually think get us somewhere. These kinds of conversations where we talk through things and we try to look for solutions, and we each have an opportunity to really discuss it and get into it. I think we should do more of them. I know we all work, I know we all run businesses, but I would take the time if everybody else would, because I think it will benefit them, and it will benefit all of us ultimately.
Anthony?
Just want to say that I want to thank the DDA, the DDA board, its members, its directors, its officers and staff, and all of those that were integral in making all of those that were integral in making sure that we could go up to Washington, D.C. and attend the IDA conference. Just want to give some brief feedback on that. Not having direct employers for a long time now, it caused me to forget what it felt like to be on the other side, where people are talking about like how much they don't have control and stuff like that. It's weird. Like, my boss is doing this and I can only do this. And I heard this like over and over from a couple of different attendees. But after you sift through all of that and you kind of get down to what they do and how they do what they do, you found out that everyone kind of had the same problems. We're all only facing just what other men or women have met. Everybody's facing the same types of things in different communities. Like, people are talking about their homeless problems in Seattle versus I'm talking about our homeless problems in Delray Beach. And then we're talking about, different programs and creative ways they were able to use DDA initiatives to help this or to do that. And we have all the tools, but we don't actually. It's kind of like going to Home Depot and not having a plan, in a sense. Like, you don't know what you're going to build, but everything you want to build an entire house, for the most part, is at Home Depot. But, you don't know.
You need a plan.
You need a plan. And sometimes you could run into the guy on the lumber aisle. He could tell you, hey, man, use these screws, not those screws. And that was kind of how the trip kind of went. With just running into different people. And it was also a good time to be in DC because the CBC was going on, so I was able to run into some people that I hadn't seen in years that were from my collegiate days and things like that. They were also in Washington visiting so it was just a good time to be in DC in general. Just a great time. Got to spend time with Laura and Jules, got to have good intimate conversations with them and get to know them a little more interpersonally. Didn't even know Laura had grandchildren until they kind of approached the conversation. But just to
Not follow her on Facebook.
I do not. But nonetheless, it was just good to get to know someone, to know that Jules doesn't like oysters, she prefers clams. That's the kind of thing. You know that for the next time you hang out with somebody, you wouldn't offer them an oyster because they like clams and things like this. But it was a great trip. Great trip. Didn't have anything bad to say. Very grateful for the opportunity. Very grateful for the knowledge gained, and excited to try and implement some of the things that I think we can do here quickly within our downtown. I got a chance to kind of tap into Renee a little bit yesterday, just to kind of nudge her interest on something. It's some things I think we can do really, really fast, as fast as government will allow, rather, I should say. But I think that will improve just furthering downtown, not riding right off of I-95 and just seeing a bunch of football fields everywhere is what it looks like to me. Maybe we do something with all that grass. But that's about it. So thank you all, and that's it for me.
Thank you.
I want to also, just before you go on, say thank you very, very much. I didn't know we would talk about it, but it was a great trip. I attended as many classes as I could, and it was very interesting, to your point, to see the other cities, big and small, that run into exactly the same situations. I had a really great conversation with some of the people from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I sat in during one of their discussions, and they were talking about, sometimes there's struggles with collaboration, but you just have to keep working and you get through it eventually. And other people that were talking about, all of these things that kind of made me feel like we've got it easy, in the sense that, people that have been dealing with the fires and political uproar and all kinds of stuff that, people have to deal with in different cities because of the climate, because of natural disasters, because of, political tensions and so forth. So the more you look around, the more you realize that really everything we're dealing with is not insurmountable. We can do it if we just put our heads together.
Thank
Just
Thank
letting
you
them
for
know
the
that was a
pizza.
great program. I did the program. If you haven't done it, you should check it out. I think about even going again. Again, it's just awesome to speak with all these other cities, see what they're dealing with, how they're dealing with it on larger scales, and it just kind of gets the juices going. So that was great, and glad to have this workshop. I think this is a big thing we need to really focus on and talk about, and work with the city and our staff and the team to just see this all happen the right way. So appreciate
Thank
that, Aaron. Cole?
I think I pretty much said everything. Just thanks for everyone taking the time out of their day and for being here.
I just wanted to mention, this morning I got up on the news, there was discussion about the parking again here in Delray, if anybody didn't catch it, so forth. Hopefully we can find a long-term solution that works for everybody and the businesses and so forth. And I think that's something that we should continue to discuss. I mean, it did say it's a temporary scenario and so forth, but it's hard once you start something to reverse it. So
Signs are up.
Thanks for the pizza.
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah.
The pizza.
whoever-
You're welcome.
Thank you for
You're
the
welcome.
pizza. It's very kind.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Christine.
All right, the rest of the day is called.
Email? No text?
They're sitting in front of you.
Okay.
They're tempted you.
Is that yours?
Just needed to pull my.
Sorry, I thought you were walking. Actually, I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
And I pulled it down from my ankle.
Yes. Seriously. This weird.
They're the two operators.